And good evening. This is the Elliott wave update for the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500 for Thursday, November the 10th, 2022. I don't need to say it. It was an incredible, very impressive, knock your socks off rally. And it all started with the release of the CPI and the jobless claims data this morning pre-market. And I suppose coming in, I should have thought more that this market was really geared for the market to go down, because that's kind of the reaction. You know, with the intensity that came in to buy it, kind of let me know that they were looking for it to go down, and now they had to cover. And they had to cover big, not just futures traders, but futures options traders, equity option traders. I mean, everybody had to cover, and that was the only means that they could do it, because the balance was going to happen in front of their face. In fact, you know, the individual stocks within these indexes also started to trade right away, and everything got pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. Now, excuse me, as extraordinary as it was today, and it was just like, wow, watch them just roll and roll and roll through resistance. As I said on last night's update, again, I was not expecting such an intense reaction. I may not have been expecting a really super intense reaction to the downside. In fact, as I believe I left it, that if we indeed were going to tumble over into a minute three of a minor three of an intermediate three, it should just go. Well, we got that clue expelled pretty much the second the number came out. Then I also stated that it would leave three down off of here, so it would not be indicative of a continuation, of course. To the downside, it would be that we're going to go up, and then we did break there. But what it also changed is that I had marked this as minor wave one of intermediate wave three, minor wave two of intermediate wave three, minor one, a minute one, minute two, falling in a minute three. And then it should have just rolled over and started to drop. It did not. So we got to back up and we got to go and like, okay, that's not going to be intermediate wave two, because the market immediately broke above 12,225. So that was out. You could back it up, and I back it up. So what happens is, instead of it being a double ABC up to here, and then a B and then a C wave failure, back the whole thing out. Still, intermediate wave one, these are still ABC, but instead of an X wave, it's just going to be a crazy rally up. And so it's A, B, and I'm going to put the C there just for, I may change this around, but it's not going to change the whole bigger picture. This is the minor A. I may have to change how it got there. This in itself could be a double ABC. I see now as I look at it. Could be ABC, X, ABC. So, and I think that's exactly what I'll do, but it's still only the A. Then we had a larger A, B, C for the minor wave B. Again, remember, we're counting an intermediate wave two. It consists of a minor A, B, C structure. There's the A, there's the B, we're in the C. So what I'm thinking could have been here is now happening here. And now it's fitting more crystal clear. Now, what threw me off was this being wave one. It has to be. If not, then we're in this crazy additional ABC. And we've got all kinds of things going. And I'm not sure. I mean, I'd have to put ABC and X, ABC, and then this is the B. I don't know. Or an ABC and an X. There's so many different variables that go into this. So the best way that I can count it is indeed, it's a C wave. It's a C wave up, and it brings back into focus that, yep, we're likely going to go above 11,740. And if you remember, there were times I was discussing that back here, I believe. Well, now we're sitting back in that situation. And if this would have been A and this would have been B, and we were looking for that C wave to carry us up to finish, which is exactly what I was looking for, it needed to get up here. It failed. I labeled it as a failure. Well, stretch the whole thing out. It's still going to go up and do it. C will exceed wave A. And we're almost there. So the next resistance is 11,772, and that's 1.618, where wave 3 will be 1.618 times the length of wave A, wave 1, and that fits cleanly. You hear me talk about it all the time. So that's a pretty realistic level. But guess what? That's just the wave 3. Then we got to pull back on wave 4 and go back up in wave 5. I would not expect the same intensity in a wave 5, not at this level. So if I pull this up, unless we take a look at the 4-hour chart, and I'm going to open this up just a little bit so that we can see it. Now we've got, doesn't look all that severe. Now, does it? When we put it into the context of this bigger picture. Now, if it turns into just a wave 2, then we're going to get here. But what makes it so intense? If you're actually trading this, it was extremely intense. If your position was not agreeing with what the market was doing, it made it more intense. If you're trying to determine where's it going to top, why is it going up, it's going to make it double and triple intense. So it was intense. I mean, we're getting all this news. Mark Zuckerberg in tears on presenting a message. I'm really sorry. I take full responsibility. Elon Musk telling his fired who remains working for Twitter, sorry, this working from home is gone. Everybody has to come into the office at least 40 hours a week, et cetera, et cetera. So we're not seeing anything getting better. We just see that now we've pretty much en masse jumped on the bandwagon that Fed's got to pivot, Fed's got to pivot, Fed's got to pivot. It's all over. We're done. We've got this relief rally. We got to go. Now, whether it was just for the relief rally, that tells me that they were not expecting this move today in advance of tomorrow's expiration. And that's another reason why I think it really came in and so strong. Those are big, large trading firms that run algorithms in just about every option there is tradable. And I know this to be true, okay, that they trade and trade big and they trade everywhere. But these algorithms are moving pretty quickly. So if they had to step in and do some adjusting because it started to blow through strike prices, and not just blow through, it ran at full speed through strike prices, it causes this. So, I mean, yesterday we saw it kind of free fall, not this intensely, but we saw it free fall. But I guess the positions are large enough. I don't know. But here we sit. So again, we can look. I mean, this thing can go back to 12,000. If this remains intermediate wave 1, all that intermediate wave 2 cannot do is it cannot exceed 13,750. That's what it can't go above. But wave 2 can retrace almost or nearly all of wave 1. So often, when we're looking at let me take these off for a second, and let's put back some just retracements. We're just going to look at these retracements right here for the wave 2. 50% is 12,112. 618 is 12,004. Let's call it 500. 1,200, 12,500. 7.5 is 12,780. These are realistic in context of the wave pattern that we're doing. when it felt like it was collapsing, it was just number one, and I told you about it, was that it was presenting us that the market is very weak. Well, it followed through. So weak that we had a lot of shorts and they had to get out. Maybe a lot of those shorts were to come off tomorrow during expiration. So therefore, that frees up a lot. So again, I'm re-emphasizing the point. When this happens on or just before any expiration, because the positions are so big, that this is what we're going to get. So maybe this is the new normal. So we don't play on a longer term picture. We just play week to week on where we think these stocks are going to end up. And we give a two-sided there. So again, we have upside potential. These are not strange. I know I have discussed these levels before. In fact, I used them from here. I said we can go here. We need, or at least minimum here. I had other levels that showed coming back to 12,000. It failed. What I failed basically is to realize it's like, oh, it's a much more complex ABC. And that's the B wave. So what can we look for? Guess what? Tomorrow's expiration. Who knows what'll come in overnight? I don't know. But right now, I'm going to say there will be follow through to the upside. I believe this is just finishing wave 3. I'm going to go back down to that hourly. We're just finishing wave 3. And right now, the market just finished at the highs. At the highs. Well, pretty much the highs. Sorry, the high being 77 and it's closed at 75 would be, but basically closes at the highs. Next up, 17,028, 11,000, 728, call it 730. Well, and we get through that, we don't really have a lot in between. So it should be a quick run to 12,000. And they can do it, folks. They can do it. What if Apple gets pushed from here back up to 155? What if it goes up another $10 tomorrow? It's just they push and they continue to push. What happens if Amazon actually continues to catch fire, goes up another 4 or 9 and ends up at 105? We're going to get the same situation. So I can't say can't happen, won't happen. I'm saying I believe it, wherever it gets to, it will come tumbling back down, but that's another day and that's another trade. But right now, I believe that we still have upside to do. All right, so bring this down again. Let's take a look at the 15-minute, because all we want to see is like, what does this look like? That, we just looked at that. A little choppy. We raced, got choppy, stayed choppy, but once they came in, and it's after lunch, not so much here on the West Coast, but on the East Coast, after lunch, walk and just take it to the moon. It was not that difficult to trade. Just had to get long. And then you could just get long size and just ride it. It was pretty cool. Anyway, I can't count necessarily 5 yet. This was just all one big move. In actuality, I could take it down to the minute chart. I want to tell you, this all happened in a minute. I'm going to show you. That is 1 minute in time. That's what happened on that number. The market dropped to 10,808, and I think that was somebody who was just trying to draw in the weak whatevers to sell it. The same one that pushes the buy button when the number's not heroic, I think push the sell button. Because and then they were frozen, but the next tick was 11,000, was all up here. That was thick. And then it went and it just jumped. And 1 minute got up to 11,260 from 10,008. 60, I believe, whatever that number was. 808. Huge, huge turn in a minute. So this was a walk. This was a pretty strong walk as well. And that one happened this morning. Which is right after opening. Boom, 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 boom. These you had to sit through if you wanted to hold, but you didn't really get a lot of sell signals, even on a 1 minute. You didn't get sell signals that told you to get out, so you just could ride. But I will tell you as well, I know this is longer than probably what I intended to talk about today, but having the right mindset, it's so important that when you're trading, you really got to turn everything else off and focus on the price action. Just focus on the price action. What is happening? And again, you can take it to a 1 minute chart and you can look at it and you just hold it. So that's not going to work. In any case, or you can use a 5 minute chart, but 1 minute chart on a day like today is it's good. And there are enough things out there algorithmically that will give you signals as well as just your own. Now, okay. So I think we can go up. I think downside, yes. Whatever this 3 finishes, and that might be it right there on the close. I don't know. I've been looking for it to come back. Your first line of defense for support is going to be the 4 and the hourly 4 and then the hourly 8. And you can run retracements from the bottom to the top, but it's going to pull it back to it'll pull it back to the 20. Let's just take a look, okay? If indeed today's closing high is that high and we get a wave 4, that would be 50%. We'll be down to the 20. 38.2 most common is 11,342 or 40 right in there. And that would be a pretty big drop. That would be 300 points and then just rally it all back. So I don't think it's going to be that deep. I think, 11,591, sure. Possibly even the 8, maybe. That's just 200. So I'd be looking for that. Let's go over to the NASDAQ. Excuse me. Let's go over to the S&P. It has been a long day. My eyes had to stay focused on these screens, but it was a good trading day. I don't mean to be sounding arrogant because I know that there were people out there that likely lost money today. But keeping a straight mindset, keeping a focus on what is happening in front of you, keeping a focus on the price action, keeping a focus on a footprint chart if you have it, and also if you don't, an order flow, an order volume, flow. It's a flow chart basically, and it gives you point of control, value area high, value area low, and a lot of extended points that have been building up over the last week or two. And when you get those and you see them come into play, it helps you get an understanding of what's coming up, where it's bubbling up from. It's a lot of supply and demand. And sellers are running. Sellers are turning into buyers. Come on. Let's be serious. So and when you're going to look at a supply and demand equation and the demand for product, so for the future, just increases because on top of just the regular guys that want to come in and buy it, you got the ones who are short that need it. And they're buying at the market and they will buy big in front of you and they'll run it. And now get one guy needs 100, another guy needs 100, another guy needs 200, another guy needs 300. And these futures will just zip because the ones who would stand there and sell it can't. So it gets it aggravated and it runs. So trade accordingly. Anyway, we have same thing. But in this case, the S&P actually did an ABC x ABC for wave A, put in a B. It's so much cleaner in the S&P. I got to tell you, it really is. And that's why I was easily to say what is going on in the NASDAQ because of the clean here. Yes, there are additional stocks, but the ones that truly move both indexes, they have in common. In any case, then that's an A, there's the B, and now we're in that C wave here. But here we have this very long, ugly, minute wave 1. but that's of minor wave C. Here we have minute wave 2, and now we're in that minute wave 3. Again, we have gone above. So the S&P is actually moving into where this all could finish territory. In the NASDAQ, we're still waiting for it to go above wave A, and in the S&P, it's been above it for most of the afternoon. So where can it go from here? I believe that we likely are going to see 4130, and that is where wave C will be equal in length to wave A. And that is it would be acceptable. But right now we're at 0.618, which is a common fib relationship for a C wave to an A wave. But the internal count isn't as strong. So it's gonna be weird, because if it just turns and goes down, then somehow I got to change this and make this the C wave. And that I'm not thinking that, but always in the back of my mind as an analyst, I'm sitting there thinking, well, okay, maybe it just turns and goes. But in any case, we have 39.67, which we're above. We've closed above. I'm going to say that it's now turning into support. And then we have the 4, and then we have 39.16, which basically is almost the 50% level, and where the hourly 8 sit. Come on, please. This is a pain. My apologies. Truly my apologies. I wanted to go and talk about those moving averages. Thank you. There's the 4, there's the 8, here's the 50% retracement, which will be support, because it was the retracement going up, and now it turns into support coming back down. So we still need that 4th wave. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. We get a nice little 4. First line of support, 39.51, 52, 39.50, right in there. Then it could drop 39.17. Tell you right now, I'm not going to be getting in love with downside. I don't think the trend will revert and go down. I think our intraday trend will continue to be up. Again, unless we're triggered, unless there's some news, unless something stupid happens around the world. So, but where we go, we get to 4, and then we got to get a 5, and we are in the area. It's not even, we were up, what, 200 points, 200 points today. So when we want to sit and stop and think, oh, can the S&P really go 150, 200 points? Yes, it can. Can it do it on really bizarre support or really bizarre reasons? Yes, it can. Again, same reason, except now we've got the SPX and the ES options in there. And they expire morning and afternoon. And they actually have an every single day expiration. Talk about an absolute run to get covered. You had an expiration that went off today. And if you came in and that's where you're going to start, the market's going to start up 100. You're scrambling. Okay, so there was just a lot going on behind this that truly didn't have anything like everybody sitting around talking like, oh, Fed's got to pivot, Fed's get out the word. No, you're getting beat up royally because of a gamma squeeze. You're getting beat up because you're short. You need to take it back. That is more the conversation than what you're going to hear on Bloomberg and CNBC. Prepare for additional upside. I think wave 5, well, we've got to get the 4 in first, so let me not get ahead of myself. But I believe wave 5 will then get us to 4,000, 439, possibly ultimately 4130. Again, as high as 4292, but again, we're now up here. Now we'll be crossing over the please do not do zone. Let's just get a confirmation. That zone actually is 4330. 40, come on, where is it? Right there. 4327. So cannot go to 1.618. The NASDAQ can, but this one, if it touches here, it's going to be on the skin of its teeth if it were to turn around. Otherwise, we could, and then I got to go rethink it. And the only way I can do that, and I'll do that over the weekend, by the way, is to change all of the degrees, bring it all down. And this is a primary B wave, which puts a whole lot more room to the rally. Could be interesting. Not sure how I'm going to do it. Okay, I got to leave it there. So I'm expecting more. We're going to look for a little bit of a pullback. The S&P, a little bit tamer than the NASDAQ in terms of jumping, but it was pretty jumpy today as well. I'm going to end it there because we're already on too long. And have a great trading day tomorrow. And don't stay up all night about this stuff. Next update will be on Sunday, November the 13th. Have a great weekend, everybody.